Now, I'm a very strong believer in the fact that we are born to win. I'm a very strong believer in the trait of human being, or the gene of human being, as if I may call so. I've always maintained the fact that there's a huge difference between animals and human being. Now, a biologist will say human being himself is an animal, but the fact of the matter is, animal has only one instinct. It will do whatever is possible to do one thing, that is to survive. But we have moved beyond that. For us, survival is something which most of us now take it for granted. But what excites us is the ability to conquer, ability to taste victory, ability to succeed. We dream high because we have that ability to dream today. And then we achieve those dreams because we have the ability to achieve those dreams as well. So historically, if you see, millions of years back, what were we? We human beings were weak, we did not have the pace, we did not have the physical ability, but today we are fantastic. We are in a way ruling over animals which are much physically stronger than us and can run faster than us. What is the reason? The reason is, in spite of all the limitations, we have certain positives. We have the ability to think, and we converted that positive. We focused on the positives to empower us. We came out with something very innovative in that. We converted that positive into something practical, and that practical that could basically equip us with the right skill set to succeed and to conquer. And that is what brings an optimism in me. I've always believed in the fact that people are going to do wonders. I have a lot of faith in human race. I generally interact with the youngsters. I interact with people who are 20, 21, 22. I am in the wrong side of 30 now. But whenever I interact with the youngsters, I feel good because I find that the next generation is much better than our generation. But then that is what is progress all about, isn't it? One of the reasons why human race has been able to progress tremendously is because the second generation has been better than the first, and the third generation has overtaken the second. And that is what I think is the optimism with which I live, and that is optimism with which I stand in front of a class and teach. I'm amazed by the abilities people have, but yes, there is something that holds them up. And one of the greatest things that holds them is the fact that there's a degree of fear, a fear of leading. If we have to succeed, one of the things which we have to learn is to become a leader. I do not believe in the fact that leaders are born. I believe very strongly in the fact that leaders are made. Having come out of the womb of a mom, the surroundings and the subsequent years actually make us what we are. Now, I might not be a very good leader today. In fact, I might not be even a leader today. That does not stop me from becoming an excellent leader or a fantastic leader tomorrow. Now, when I go inside the classroom, I interact with the youngsters, I find a degree of fear. Everyone wants to be a leader, but there's a degree of fear and a belief, a very strong belief in the fact that they're the followers, they're not the leaders, and I don't believe in that. I think these are traits which can be learned very fast. And if you were to ask me, how do we become a leader? I think the first thing which we need to do is start copying leaders. There are quite a few James Bond who are in this world, fantastic leaders. What we need to understand is read them, study them, and copy their traits. There are times when I'm not able to take a decision. There are times where I'm required to take a decision, but I'm not in a position to take a decision. Then I go somewhere in the corner, I sit in the corner and I start thinking, what would my brother do in such a situation? I have an elder brother, he's a James Bond, right? He's a veritable James Bond. But whenever I am not able to take a decision, I generally think, alright, if he were in the situation, what would he do? And that introspection, that belief then helps me take that decision. We need to have role models. Let's copy them. Initially, when we are copying it, people will know that we are copying it. Afterwards, it will become a habit, it will become us. And that is something which we have to do. The second thing which we have to do is stop listening to everyone. I generally talk about Sachin Tendulkar and Saurav Ganguly. I mean, two of the greatest personalities we have ever had in Indian sports. If you were to ask majority and ask who is the better sportsman, everyone would say Sachin Tendulkar. I believe he's one of the best who has ever walked on earth. But if you were to ask me, or even the people who are fans of Sachin Tendulkar, who is a better leader or a captain, it will be Saurav Ganguly. Now, one of the traits about Saurav Ganguly is considered to be very stubborn. All right, he doesn't take advice of people. He keeps to himself. But the fact is, I think that's one of the traits that's required. If we start asking information from everyone, if we start seeking advice from everyone, we get confused. Nothing more than that. We have to be stubborn in what we do. At the end of the day, when I take a decision, I'm sure that not everyone is going to be happy about it. But I can't. My business is not to make everyone happy. My business is to take the right decision. And if I'm convinced the decision is right, irrespective of whoever says no to it, I have to go forward with that decision because a leader has to be convinced. But that is not to say that we don't have to seek anyone's advice, or we don't have to, live in a society. We need to care about people. We need to take the people along. But then it's limited to the area who matter to us. For example, as a third party, you and I probably thinks Saurav Ganguly is an idiot in the sense that he's a very stubborn character. But then you ask any single person who has been led by Saurav Ganguly, probably Saurav Ganguly will be considered as a god. The fact is then, Saurav Ganguly has been able to do what he has to be able to do. He is a leader. Why? Because he is very clear about what his directions are. And more importantly, he has the ability to convince his team, about the direction. And that is exactly a trait that is required of a leader. So these two traits become important. I love the profession I am in. I love to interact with the youngsters. And in fact, quite a number of times students ask me, how do I get that energy? I get the energy from my class, from my students. One of the things I never miss is taking a class in the evening, because that refreshes me. I have a lot of hope. I'm a very firm believer in the fact that human race is going in the right direction, because every time I go to the class, I interact with the youngsters, I see them moving in the right direction. Whatever doubts they have, yes, I know these doubts are genuine, but I'm also very confident 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now, these same youngsters who believe the fact that they can't become leaders are going to become fantastic leaders. Many of these guys whom I teach probably are going to achieve positions which I can never dream of today. And believe me, I'll be very proud of that. All right. So as I said, yeah, leadership thing is the most important thing. And for me and at Condura, one of the things which we continuously believe is the fact that every single student of ours should become a leader. We believe also in the fact that the change is possible. I mean, if I were to look at my own academics, I was always considered to be the dark sheep of my family. I was not academically that very good, but the change did take place. Today I might not be the best or the best, but I'm good at what I do. And if I can change, I believe there's a hope for everyone.